Hi True Crime Grapevine fans. I want to make sure you can see me but also see my little presentation screen back here so that you can see. This beautiful boy up here, you may recognize him. He is the person that we're seeking justice for in case 3 of episode 45 of the True Crime Grapevine. I'm Patty Lee. I'm your host here. What do? I'm going to tell you about what everybody's saying about this. This case specifically, Gannon Stauch's murder. If you are interested in the stepmonster case, right now the trial is starting. They just finished jury selection today, Monday, April 3rd, and gave opening statements. The prosecution statements seemed to be a home run, if you ask me. What I heard of the defense statements sounded like weak ASS excuses. That's what I think. Oh, wah, wah, wah. I mean, there's plenty of people who are hurt in life that don't turn around and hurt. I mean, I know hurt people, as the whole Bravo verse will remind you. But I mean, there's hurting people, not murdering people. So, this case 3 is Gannon Stauch. He was 11 when he was unalived. He was born September 29th to Al Stauch and his wife at the time, whose name is, it's not, why don't I look at my handy dandy little file? I read all these notes. I should probably get it. I forget what his mom's name, Leona, something like, the sister's name is Lena. I don't think she was named after her mom, but it's something like that. Sorry. So they have Gannon, and I believe he was a premature baby too, kind of like we were talking about our first one, not as premature, but they felt he was their miracle baby. And so when he went missing, they were willing to do anything to find him. They weren't sure about what exactly happened because Al had been deployed. This was January 27th of 2020. Again, 2020, very popular year for unaliving your stepchildren, apparently. Yeah, so the stepmom, Leticia Stauch, was at home with Gannon and his little sister, Lena, they were both from the Al's marriage. Why did the mom not have him when he was deployed at the National Guard that time, so he was out of town. She was pregnant with a difficult pregnancy and was very ill, and so she was happy to have the help of this Leticia Stauch, who had married her ex-husband, her ex, but she, as far as she knew, Leticia was a teacher from South Carolina. She had her 17-year-old daughter, Harley, with her. So she was like, oh, it's not overburdening Leticia because she's got her 17-year-old daughter and Al will be back. And so that is why Gannon was specifically and his sister were staying with Leticia, especially then when his dad was off doing his National Guard work. Yeah, but Leticia, she is a liar, like a sociopathic liar. And what the family didn't know is that she had gotten into quite a bit of trouble previously and had lost her teaching license in the Carolinas before she came to Colorado Springs, Colorado, is where this case took place in January 27th of 2020. Yeah, she not very stable, in my opinion, and allegedly lost her temper. We're not sure what happens because she claims a lot of things. Let's see. On the 27th at night, she called the police and claimed that Gannon was missing. At first, he had gone to a friend's house after school, and then maybe he had taken his bike and rode it way out of town, or maybe then when things started falling apart, then somebody had come to the house to attack her and took Gannon. And they essayed her and art her, and oh my gosh, and she, she's a survivor. Well, you know, our phones and our technology will reveal big fat liars. The neighbors, camera, not next door exactly, I don't think, but a little further away, could see that where Gannon was alive and that he had only gotten in and out of Leticia's car, and at one point looked like he was in pain. In his room, they found evidence of blood everywhere, and eventually, well, there was recordings, I believe, on her phone of her yelling at Gannon, and the boys, they played it in the opening statements today. His voice is tiny. He is pleading and very obviously afraid of this woman who's like, okay, now we got to do this. Like, apparently he burnt maybe the carpet with a candle, and maybe that was the impetus of her rage. Now, we don't know what happened because Leticia's a liar. When she eventually was caught, so what she did was she bought, between reporting her stepson missing, she had her oldest daughter, her biological daughter, go and buy cleaning supplies, you know, as one does when one has committed murder. But she made sure her daughter, you know, bought the supplies. So it wasn't her. Tricky, right? So just remember all this. When they go, in the end, what she's pleading is insanity. But legal insanity means you don't know what you're doing is wrong. It's not just mental illness. If you are doing something and you know enough to hide it, to make up excuses, to use subterfuge, that isn't the definition of legal insanity. I mean, I think we can all agree the bee is insane. But so she went to pick up her husband who had just flown out for his deployment at the National Guard, was coming back. She had rented a car. Why? Because in her van, we think, it is alleged, that Gannon's body at that very time was in that car in a suitcase with his bedding wrapped around him. She had spent, you know, the time after whatever happened in his bedroom in the basement. She had spent that cleaning, and then she had packed him up and disposed of some materials, and then rented a car to go pick up her husband. And then she went on a cross-country trip back to, she said she was going back to South Carolina, but she made a little pit stop, and she had Harley, her 17-year-old daughter, with her the whole time, who is going to be a witness, according to what the prosecution said. In the car with her, with Gannon's body in the suitcase. They went to Florida, and they stayed in a hotel where his body was found, very close under a bridge. His body was found there. She went there in early February, and then they found him they found enough evidence by March 2nd that they knew there was enough blood that he was unalived. They charged her March 2nd. March 2nd, when you look up when he died, they say March 2nd because I guess that's when officially they knew he was dead. But then they found his body on March 17th in Florida, where in her car told the tale, her phone told the tale of where she had been. I mean, you can't really, as we know from other stories, cover up all this stuff. But she thought she was real sly with her ever-changing stories and involving her 17-year-old, who I think obviously probably got immunity for telling. But she has since that time pulled both a Lori by being, you know, I'm crazy, and also a Daryl Brooks she's pulled. She wanted to be her own lawyer and did crazy stuff in court, and then she was crazy again. So this woman is a piece of work. But now we are in trial, and she does have some some public defender who is trying to, I don't know what. So here's the evil step monster, which I put allegedly, right? So let's drink to allegedly. Let's drink to crazy eyes over here. Is she insane? Legally or guilty? So the trial began with the opening statements, like I said today. It's in El Paso County in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where it took place. It's going to be a crazy one, people. But we will be able to watch this trial, so that's nice, because the other trials that we'll be talking about, we will not be able to watch them. We will be able to hear some of them after the fact and hear some of them while it's going on. But we'll talk about those next. So I will be letting you know with my next upload what you think. I would love to hear in the comments, do you think Leticia Stauch is legally insane? Or do you think she is a guilty as sin stepmonster? There is one YouTuber, so Ikadmel, as you know I love, he recently did a recap real quick on this. He hadn't been following it all the time, but if you want from the very beginning, the whole arc of this case, go to watch Linda. Her channel on YouTube is called It's a Crime. I'll try to remember. I will thank her in the show notes for this case, so you'll be able to click on that and find her. She has been unwaveringly a warrior for justice for Gannon. She calls him little guy. She followed this case from the beginning. Great research. You will really enjoy watching her. So go check those recaps, but I will keep you up to date. But I personally, here I'm blocking her a little bit, but you know. I would guess that the mental illness, which is not legally insane, would be what's described in this book, which is the sociopath next door. Maybe I'll do a book report on that. I'm reading the Lori Vallow book right now. This book, it's by Momsters Stepmonsters. Highly recommended, easy to read for anybody. And it describes that sociopaths, now they don't all have bloodlust, like, so they're not all killers, but they're people who are, you know, narcissistic. They only see the world from their own view. People are things, not people. Like, to be discarded, used, whatever. And, you know, if the DSM label fits. Actually, I'm not sure DSM has sociopath. I think what they call them are antisocial personality disorders. So, but not legally insane, because if you know to hide, even if you make up a bad, stupid story, you're lying. If you take a body cross country and dump it under a bridge in another state, but you're stupid enough to stay in a hotel and take your 17-year-old daughter, so you implicate her in your crime. I mean, morals, maybe not. Smarts, probably not. But read that book. I think you will see, in my opinion, allegedly, Ms. Stauch, and I hate that she can't even use Albert's last name. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Because she doesn't deserve that family's name. But anyways, that's my opinion. That was case 3. If you have comments, if you have followed this case, if you know anybody who's like this and you want to sound off, put it in the comments. I would love to hear. I read all my comments and I respond to all of those. You know, there's some that are off point that just say, but if you're really interested in having a dialogue about these crimes, I would love to hear from you. And I will read your comment and I will respond. All right? So thank you for listening. Really help if you could give a thumbs up. Hey, subscribe if you're not subscribed. It's free. And I will see you in the next case in a second. Bye.